Thank you. Introducing in the studio, it's DeKeither Stamps, the newly elected Public Service Commissioner of the Central District. Central District. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. This is the virgin appearance. After this, you're no longer a virgin. I'm not sure how many times people could say that, but we do welcome you in. First of all, I guess it was, if you look at the bright spot for the Democrat Party, across the state, because it wasn't a good day for them, but a little bit of a reflection. How did you do it, and why did you do it? I mean, why the Public Service Commission? Because you had served on the city council for Jackson, you were a state representative, and you looked at this position and said, okay, this is something I want to do. And it's not easy. I mean, it's a big commitment, as you well know. As someone who ran one race 1,000 years ago, it ain't easy. It is a heck of a commitment, in shoe leather and everything else. So, kind of tell the people, to get a little background, why the Public Service Commission?
Well, first, thank you for having me. I'm overjoyed to have the experience here, and I'm glad I won't be a virgin when I leave.
Yeah, and I hope this is not the last time. I hope I don't make you mad on the first one. Will you never return again? So
most of that, I'll be back anytime you want me to come back,
all right,
sir.
Man. Go ahead.
Well, I served in the military. When I retired, I came back, and Mississippi really wasn't where I thought it should be. So I stepped forward and joined the Jackson City Council. And in 2013, I identified that Jackson needs somebody at a higher level to force it to do things that were necessary for water and sewer.
Yeah.
So we put a plan together in 2013 to run for Public Service Commission in 2019. And we were a little short in 2019. And so I'm the kind of person where I'm going to go figure out what I need to do better and come back swinging. And that's what we did. We came back.
I got to say that had to frustrate you 2013 all the way up to the debacle with the busted pipes. It had to be frustrating.
Oh, most definitely. But I love Mississippi more than I hate our situation.
Yeah. So what do you think the problem is as far as the city of Jackson now? Because, I mean, you start looking at it in the daily news, we're talking about this, that they can't even solve the garbage situation. I mean, that's still going on as far as the contract's concerned.
Well, I believe that Jackson has had some personnel issues that have caused problems, but it has a bigger structural issue. I believe that Jackson has the wrong form of government. The mayor-council form of government across the country has about 97% of all the public corruption cases, and we believe, and we've been pushing since 2014, for Jackson to change the form of government to the council manager form of government so we can hire a competent working professional that will in turn hire department heads and move forward. So
I've never heard anybody say that, but you didn't make much inroads on that, I'm sure.
Well, hopefully we'll be more successful because we have a higher platform now.
Wait a minute, doesn't Grenada have that?
The coast, I think Gulfport has Austin, Texas, Las Vegas.
Does Pascagoula?
Yeah, Pascagoula has
Pascagoula
it.
that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And I think Grenada has it, but not a lot of places in the state have that.
Well, I think the government's too big in Jackson. It needs to reduce it down to 4 council people and a mayor, unify them, and then hire someone who knows how to run a city to be in charge.
DeKeither, what we always say this, and I say this as a fellow Mississippian born here and will die here, that we've got to have the people, regardless of race, ethnicity, or anything else, they've got to become better informed and understand it. And there's no connection between city government, county government, state government, or federal government, and how it actually affects them. And they don't understand that connectivity, and I don't know how to do it. I have no idea how to reach these folks. It is certainly, I believe, lacking in schools, and that would be the first place. You got to teach them at home, and you got to teach them at school that these things matter. This is part of your business.
That's right.
You've got to know what's going on, and when people get in there, you don't go vote for somebody for public service commissioner because he lives next door or he's got an R or a D by his name. You find out exactly what his policies are and is he qualified for the position. Is that asking too much?
Well, I believe that all citizens need to be more civic-minded, need to be better citizens, and just we have to do better for Mississippi.
Yeah.
We're better than what we're producing.
You served in the Marine Corps?
Yes, sir.
82nd Airborne?
Yes, sir.
You're not still active, are you?
No, sir. I retired in 2010.
Wait, that young? Come on.
I got hurt in Iraq, and I only did about 12 and a half years. So
thank
I
you for
came
your
home a
service,
little early.
Just on another subject, because we've got a larger segment here, so we're just warming up. But just on another subject, when you look at what's going on in Iran, it looks like we're doing this again.
I don't believe that we should be fighting wars for contractors. These wars are being produced by the military-industrial complex, not for the betterment of America or the world.
You and I agree with that 100%. Absolutely 100%. When Trump was in, he basically said, look, we'll still buy your stuff, but what's going to happen is we're just going to be stronger and stronger, and we're going to be so damn strong that nobody's even going to think about messing with us, and we'll invest it that way. But the military complex has, and if you don't think it does, go look at the contributions in Congress.
Oh, most definitely. I'm sixth-generation military. My daughter's in Japan right now in the Air Force. And, so we've been, firewater baptized in the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, and then you watch this get-together with the president of China and the president of the United States of America, and you said, man, while we have a second here, and I think you'll appreciate this, when you listen at what he says, I'm talking about Joe Biden, and this is one of the energetic speeches from our commander-in-chief.
Inaction there was inaction for much too long. Look, but we're acting now. We have been acting.
Yeah.
It's foolish for anyone to deny the impacts of climate change anymore. Excuse me. Excuse me. I signed last year. It was a reminder, at least for me, of what I've long believed. Excuse me.
Now, I'll tell you something, DeKeither. If we, the kids, were there and Papa was about ready to grab the keys and go to McDonald's, we would all have the conversation and say, Papa don't need to drive no more. He's gone. And this guy is the commander-in-chief, and it is really sad to where we are right now in this country with this.
Well, I had to deal with Washington, D.C. There's some pretty high-ranking folks in Washington, D.C. that put $250,000 into my opponent's campaign against us. So we've been dealing with these issues and dealing with some incompetence and challenging some national policies, and that's why we received some of the opposition we received, because we've been challenging the White House on some issues. We've been challenging, these environmental companies for being prejudiced, and we just got pissed off, and that's what drove us with the energy to push forward.
Are you comfortable in the Democrat Party?
Yeah, I'm fine. No matter where you put me, I'm gonna come out swinging and do the best job I can do.
Well, that's a serious question when you start looking at it, and because we posed that question to Brandon Presley. And are you comfortable with the party you're representing?
Well, I am. It needs some work, but both parties have things that need to be worked on. No matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat, what we represent is a duct tape and bubblegum purple coalition, a group of Democrats and Republicans who are sick of the extremes running the show, and we just want to get some things done.
Yeah.
So.
I do want to ask you this, because I know people have asked me this before, but if you're going knocking on door to door, and you probably get this, somebody's going to look up at you and say, well, you seem like a fine young man, but could I ask you something? What the heck does the Public Service Commission do? How did you answer that? Did you get that question?
Well, we make sure everybody's water's clean and toilets work.
That's it. That's it. Nothing else.
Your cell phone service, and make sure you got good natural gas service to your house and access to these services. Make sure.
Where do you think? What did you campaign on that Brent Bailey did not do that you thought you could do a better job?
Experience. We have local experience. We have state experience, especially serving on the Public Utilities Committee in the House, and we have federal experience. We've been all over the globe, so we just had more experience. We just told people that we're better than him.
All right. We want to find out how that experience is going to play out once you are sworn in, and we'll talk more with DeKeither Stamps, newly elected Public Service Commissioner, Central District. We're going to need it because all three members are novices as far as that office is concerned, and you can use the word novices the way you want to. But back with more, and coming up, Ricky Matthews. DeKeither Stamps is with us. Because you just got the okay, what was it? A couple of yesterday, day before yesterday, for the final results.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts on that being the last person named.
Well, we're just going through the process. We're overjoyed to be here, and we are appreciative that there are over 130,000 folks in Mississippi who stuck with us, even when we didn't have the money to do radio and TV ads and mail outs. They just looked at our work and trusted us with being the Public Service Commissioner.
What do you call home? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Learned, Mississippi.
Where?
And,
Learned?
Learned,
Okay.
Mississippi. That's where my father's farm is, and my family farm is there. And I graduated high school. I kind of moved all around Mississippi and graduated high school from Crystal Springs High School.
Yeah. The margin was what? It was around 1,000 votes, somewhere around there?
Yeah, about 2,000 votes.
About 2,000 votes.
Yes,
so a good, hard-fought campaign, though, so that was good. Have you talked to Brent Bailey since then?
I reached out to him the day after the election and invited him over to the house to have a beer and discuss things.
That didn't work out too well, did it?
No, it'll be just fine. He's a good guy. He'll be just fine.
When you look at the first two or three things that you want to do, and as I said, I don't remember when we had all three commissioners, whether it's MDOT or Public Service Commissioner, who are all new to the job. And I think for people who understand this, it's a little bit concerning, certainly if there's some things that pop up that need attention. So because I would guess your staff is going to change and all of that will change.
Well, there's some folks there that I really like that are in the office, and I look forward to meeting the rest of them to identify folks that we have good synergy with, to work with, and move forward.
We have, let's see, Chris Brown, who's been on the air with me, of course, in the Northern District, and then Wayne Carr, who upset Dane Maxwell in the southern part. So you got Chris Brown, Wayne Carr, and DeKeither. Stamps, and everybody is new in that one. What do you put on your top three things on the agenda?
Well, first and foremost, we want to stabilize operations and focus on resiliency because we've had some failures, and I believe that's why people were upset because we've had water sewer failures, we've had electrical failures, so we got to work on resiliency to make sure people have service.
Well, I'm a little confused, though. What could you do, what laws or regulations could be imposed that would have stopped that in the number one place in the nation that's got all this attention is the city of Jackson?
Well, one thing that we did in the House, Chris and I worked on this, working on things for specifically the city of Jackson, giving the Public Service Commission a little better purview into that operation. We thought that there would be some degree of takeover there. It didn't happen, so we're going to lean in on city of Jackson because I know it. I can go into that thing and I can talk about things in such a way and not be called a racist or like some other, and make some recommendations to the government that can be received a little better. But we got figures all over. We got things down in Copiah County where they have utility issues on the water sewer side. We have several things we have to work on. So we're going to lean in real hard to work with these utilities to be better, to provide better service for people.
When you look at some of the money used that came down from the Washington, D.C., do you think that was used in the right way or is going to be used? Is there enough oversight on that?
Well, we'll lean in a little bit on that as well. We'll make some recommendations to the legislature and the governor and those local utility operators to make sure they're more transparent and get things done better.
I would caution to say that there probably is not a system in the state of Mississippi that doesn't need to be rebuilt. I mean, you stick them under the ground, you leave them there. But it's probably the same thing elsewhere. One of the things that was just kind of odd as far as going through all of this, talking about the city of Jackson, is some of those lead pipes, even if you cleared everything else out, some of those lead pipes leading into the homeowners. You can't force them to do this, I guess, and some of them just financially couldn't afford that. But, I mean, you got lead pipes leading into these things. People with lead pipes, if they don't have some kind of filter out there or if they use it for drinking water, cooking, that's bad news.
Well, the corrosion control system is the issue. And if they have a better corrosion control system at the plant, then it doesn't allow for the leaching to happen into the drinking water. So there's work that needs to be done all around.
When you look at what happened in the city of Jackson, it was just the lack of leadership, to the point where this needs to be done, and you're not doing it. You're not appointing the right people. In some cases, he didn't appoint anybody. And there were so many vacancies.
That's why the city of Jackson needs a city manager. It needs someone who is a competent working professional to run the city, and then they base it off of competency versus personal relationships.
Unless you have consequences for the mayor or the city council that is personal one way or the other, and that goes through all of politics. How do you change that? Because if they suffer something as far as a negative ruling, it's the taxpayers who are going to have to pay for their failing.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just want to be an intermediary between City Hall, the governor's mansion, and the Capitol to work together to get things done, not have this contentious relationship that's existed over the years. Because we understand working operations at both levels, and we just want to work together with both sides to pull them together to actually get things done for Mississippians.
From the viewpoint that you had, DeKeither, in the House and also the Jackson City Council, but certainly now as Public Service Commissioner-elect, do you think there's anything we can do about these robocalls, anything that we're not doing? The technology it's getting a little bit better, but it's as much as you promise, there's almost no way to stop them.
Well, we wrote a law that took the robocall outside of the Public Service Commission and put it into the Attorney General's office so they can lead faster to prosecution. But we did that. My motivation for doing it was because the Public Service Commission needs to be focused on water, sewer, and those things that it's supposed to focus on. But 70% of the phone calls coming in the office were by robocalls. So we sent it over to the Attorney General's office so the PSC can focus on its main core job, which is utilities.
Was that the start of the fiscal year, July?
Yes, sir.
So they have all of the responsibilities. Don't call the Public Service Commission anymore.
Correct.
All right. Now we also had the delineation between where you do and do not have responsibility or any input at all, other than just as a public service. As far as broadband is concerned, that's not your bailiwick either.
Well, I co-authored that bill as well with Representative Scott Bounds, and now we have an Office of Broadband, and they control that, but the companies are regulated, on the PSC side.
You're a smart guy. Here as a state legislature, you're making your job easier 2 years before you even take the job.
Well, I just want the public PSC to focus specifically on the main thing.
I understand.
Because I believe that's where the failures were happening. It was a lot of communication going on, a lot of other activity going on, and it's just focused on the water, sewer, and the cell phone service.
Here's the last thing I want to talk to you about.
All right.
And I remember when we had Brent on and we were talking to Brent, and it really hit me the wrong way, to be honest with you, when we were talking about the charges as far as Brandon Presley's concerned, taking a lot of money to win this post as the Public Service Commissioner or as governor of the state, and taking it from companies that he or she, it doesn't really matter, has to make a decision, one vote out of three, of whether they're going to be able to do business in the state of Mississippi or not. I don't care how you look at it. You line me up most of the people in Mississippi, and they'll all say that's wrong.
Oh, it's definitely wrong. I mean, they've created what I consider, and some people say I was kind of wrong for it, but I consider if people come before the Public Service Commission, they shouldn't be allowed to donate money. And the local environmental groups, who I believe are prejudiced because they never even came and talked to me and allowed me to present myself. That's why I like SuperTalk. At least y'all let me come say my piece. These environmental groups, they're prejudiced because they don't even allow me to come present myself to see if they want to support me or not. They just made their mind up on their own. And the local groups send the money to the national group. The national group sends it back down and then put it inside of my race. They put $250,000 behind my opponent, and then they also put about $270,000 against Chris's opponent.
How the hell did we wind up here where we have a Democrat having more transparency requests than the Republican at this particular time?
I don't know how we got here, but I know we made a better decision.
I think so. I'm going to give you the final thoughts when we. But you got to get it worked on, Delbert McClinton. So we have Chris Brown, and we have DeKeither stamps, and I'm not sure about the last gentleman, but I know both of you are in favor of making some types of rules or regulations as far as donations are concerned. And can you change that? And will you change it?
Well, the rules are already in place. You just have to be ethical in how you run your campaign.
Well, no, but that's edging out of it a little bit, because my understanding is the solar people that were not in the regulatory part of that, the money's the same.
Right.
The appearance is the same.
Right.
You're going to rule one way or the other. You can or cannot rule. You may decide to rule against the company, but chances are they're going to get it passed one way or the other. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
There's an out there. So If you're against taking money from regulated,
correct.
The solar people, are you going to regulate them in the future? Will they be regulated in the future?
Well, this is the second time around for me. They came against me 4 years ago, and they were the tipping point to this election. And this time we were able to put a plan together to beat them because we only raised $44,000.
Yeah, is that the reason they came against you? Because you didn't want to take their
Well, I didn't believe some of the things they did were right. I don't believe that, I'm not against solar, but I'm against unethical practices. I'm against things that aren't best for Mississippi.
All right, tell me what the unethical practices were.
Well, I don't believe that the solar companies should be able to put money into a nonprofit like the Sierra Club last time, and then that Sierra Club put the money into a Public Service Commission race. I don't believe that this time they changed the plan around and they put money into a national group. The national group turns around and sticks it back down, and the candidate didn't put it on his finance report as an in-kind donation because it was coordinated with his campaign. So if you coordinate an activity with your campaign, you should at least put it on your finance report as an in-kind donation if they didn't directly give you the money. And neither of those things happen. So
I agree.
There should be some tightening up there. I don't believe that those practices should happen, but I'm overjoyed that this race was won by God and good people, because about a month and a half ago, my grandmother died, and I just threw my hands up and said, God, Jesus, take the wheel. And God and good people brought us home to victory.
I was going to say, you had some help upstairs then.
That's right.
Well, the other part of that, it's almost like getting 5,000 pounds of glitter out of the Superdome. You'll never get it all out because you were in the state legislature. You understand these same practices are there.
Correct.
So if you're looking for laws to protect this, it's just not going to happen.
Well, we got to work through it, but we have to be more educated as citizens to see things when it comes. When a commercial comes on TV and it says funded by EDF Action Fund, well, let's go Google EDF Action Fund, and it shows that they put on their website that they put $250,000 in the Brent Bailey campaign.
I hate to hit. I'm going to hit you with this one too. Did you have that same angst when the name Centene came up?
Well, it's all of it's mixed together. We definitely need some.
It really is.
We all need some work done to be more transparent. But I'm just overjoyed that over 130,000 people, and now other people are looking into the situation and saying need change need to happen.
Yeah. It has been a pleasure, sir. I thank you so very much. Do not be a stranger. Your final thoughts here, if you want to use the next minute for that.
Well, I just want to say thank you to the citizens of Mississippi. Thank you to God for allowing us this opportunity. And we beat Washington, D.C. We stood together and we put a licking on Washington, D.C., and I appreciate us for sticking together and to do that. Let's move Mississippi forward.
Yeah, and those people can be quite formidable, too, as the amount of money that pours in, as we saw in the Presley campaign.
There's a lot of money out there.
Yeah. DeKeither, thank you, sir. Appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir.
Look for